Good morning. I'm Liza Holland of the Nonpartisan League of Women Voters of Lexington, and I will be the moderator for this forum today for County Judge Executive. We are going to be using the League's policies for this forum, and the League is the sponsor for the forum today. We have two candidates with us today, Ms. Mary Diane Hanna and Mr. Jon Larson. Thank you so very much for joining us. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to introduce themselves and 60 seconds to respond to questions. Questions have been created by the sponsors, and we are also taking questions from the public on our website. Finally, we give each candidate 60 seconds for closing remarks. We'll use a second drawing for the order of closing remarks. Those orders of go have been selected online at random.org. So without further ado, Mr. Larson, you will have 60 seconds for opening remarks first.
Okay, thanks, Liza. Thanks, the League, and thank you, Ms. Hanna. I think perhaps I'm maybe the most recognized person in this town because I've been in your courts for over 50 years. I'm a high school dropout, but I have 3 college degrees, a law degree, bachelor's degree from UK, and a master's degree in international business from George Washington University. I've been your county judge executive twice. For 11 out of the last 12 years, I've been handling some of the functions of this office. Yes, I'm a Republican. I'm the first of my party to win a contested election in this county since merger in 1974. Why? Well, because I'm your community activist. I was the chair of the Human Rights Commission when the Fairness Ordinance was passed. I was the chair of the Environmental Commission, and I discovered a landfill going into McConnell Springs, and I work with mothers of murdered children. I've set up the Veterans Treatment Court. Did you say stop? Okay, and the homeless, the immigrants, imprisoned, and significantly a lot more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hanna.
Hi, thank you for having me today. And I am running for this office mainly because people ask me to do so. It is something that a lot of these functions are things that I do for my neighborhood association. I'm president of the Old Richmond Road Neighborhood Association and have been for probably 30 years. I deal with reporting county roads that are a mess because I live on them. I'm the only person in the race, or was the only person out of 6 in the race from the country, and I am doing it mainly because of the county road situation. And I've attended a lot of the last 3, I guess, MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization meetings with regard to problems in our area. I have 2 degrees, but I am a type of person who is just very determined. I feel any job that I undertake, I've been able to undertake it and accomplish things. And that is why I'm running for this position. I hope you will vote for me.
Thank you so much. Ms. Hanna, you'll take this first question first. What is the biggest challenge facing the county judge executive in Fayette County, and what are you planning to do to address it?
Well, I feel like it's mainly a prescribed job. It has about 6 or 8 things that actually are under the purvey of a county judge executive. For my particular reasoning, it is that the Jessamine County people always want to bring roads through the country toward the Old Richmond Road area, and they want to hook up to I-75. And I have people in my neighborhood group who do not want that to happen. It's their land, it's the country. We want to live in the country. We've fought it 3 times, and that is why I was asked to run for this primarily. There are various other facets. I'm not running for it to get people I know into the office of the sheriff or coroner or the other offices that you can appoint someone to if they don't fulfill their spot. I'm just doing it mainly altruistically for the area. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Larson, in your opinion, what's the biggest change facing the county judge executive, and what are you going to do about it?
Regional and state connections. I've been participating as a member of CACO, the Kentucky Organization of Counties, the Governor's Office for Local Government, the Judge Executive Association, the Bluegrass Area Development Association, Bluegrass Tomorrow, the I-75 Bluegrass Nicholasville Bypass Connect Committee, and the MPO for over 11 years. And without these connections, and let me tell you, I've been going to all their meetings, all their seminars, meeting all their people, getting to know these people. No other county official, including the mayor, nor any of the council people, have been significantly involved in any of these office connections. In fact, Lexington city government has not even paid their dues to CACO for over. So, I mean, this is a downtown office. I do that.
Thank you so much. You'll take this next question first. What makes you the best candidate for this position?
Okay, I'll talk about that downtown. This job requires immediate access by all the other county officers. I'll talk about that in just a second. And everything is done, or most of the things that the judge executive does is downtown. The county judge is the process agent for lawsuits against the county. Now, this means that, I don't know if you've ever been sued, and I hope you're not, but if you get it, you will get a summons that says if you don't answer within 20 days, that a possible default judgment will be taken against you. It's important to get those to the proper agencies and get them done. 2 or 3 times weekly, the judge must sign to authorize funding for their deputy sheriffs to go out of the state to pick up fugitives. The meetings are mostly downtown. I have an office directly across the street from the old county courthouse, and I have good relations with county officials that I've already built up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Hanna.
Could you repeat the question again, please?
Certainly. What makes you the best candidate for this position?
Well, I am a determined person. I know how to run things. I have run things for quite a while. People call me the mayor of my neighborhood, but I have a good working relationship with Don Todd, and he is the attorney who can let those processes go through when they do need to extradite prisoners or have the people go out of town to deal with the people who are arrested and need to be brought back to Fayette County. Beyond that, I just am willing to work and do the job as prescribed. With regard to the scholarship that was invented or started in the 1920s, and with regard to working with the regional planning, but also to protect the people in the area from being trodden upon if they are trying to take their land.
Thank you. You will take this next question first from the public. With the merged Lexington Fayette County government, what are your thoughts about the existence or the need for a county judge executive here in Fayette County?
I think this is a job that probably could have been incorporated into other people's jobs. It is a little bit outside the box, and it's a bit of a hodgepodge of items. It is in the state constitution, however, for each county to have a judge executive, and unless that is changed by a constitutional amendment where everyone votes, it will probably remain the same. It's not a great financial hardship to the area because it only pays a stipend occasionally, and beyond that, it's not really a paying job. For example, Frankfurt, I think it's $104,000 a year job. In Floyd County, I think it's an $84,000 a year job. So financially, I don't think it's a terrible burden to the people, and it does relieve some jobs from other people, but they probably could have been incorporated into other people's jobs as well.
Thank you so much. Mr. Larson.
Yes, I really want to address the issue of constitutional amendment. The This job can and should be eliminated. But as my Miss Hanna says, it takes a while. In fact, it was in process of getting done when my successor, Jon Roberts, died in office. But he had it in a situation where we could have had a vote on it in 7 years. I'm back to square one. But in the meantime, I'm going to work on efficiently managing this office and for discussion of the abolition amendment at a later time. But abolition is going to take three things. First of all, you have to convince the other county officials, the judge executives, the magistrates, the commissioners, to agree that it's not going to affect them. And believe it or not, that's the easy part. Second of all, getting the legislature to go along with it. I addressed a Democratic leadership. Jon Roberts was dealing with a Republican leadership, which was willing to go along with it. And third, there's a vote of everybody, which should be a housekeeping bill. Thank you. We worked hard on it.
Thank you so much. You'll take this next question first. What factors would you use in deciding how to distribute county road funds?
I'm sorry, and I don't mean to laugh. County roads, no disrespect for my opponent, but I'm going to, my novice opponent, the county road funding is almost the least significant thing that this office does. In fact, county road funding was if it was the only reason for having this office, we should abolish it immediately. Most of the rural roads are not county roads that way people think of them. The small limited funding for these necessary repaving is done with a small amount of $450,000 or so. And those paving priorities are set by the professional civil engineers in the city engineering office. There's no real discretion for the judge and the three commissioners who are paid a paltry $50 a year to make these decisions. Every square inch of the county roads is in the city of Lexington and should be managed by this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hanna.
Well, I can agree that that is a valid point. It is a portion that I deal with every day. I mean, if you call about a problem with the roads, you have to call your council person. You can't call the city and give them the information. They say, just call your council person. I said, what about the county judge executive? And they said, yes, you can call about that. But the county roads are an issue. There are places that I drive regularly, and the side of the road is probably, well, it's just below my knee. From where you step off the edge of the road, there's that much space. So that means your car is going to likely fall off to that spot. If you have a wreck, it's a pretty treacherous thing. And I would just try to deal with it. Like he said, you know, you go to the meetings, you have a little bit of a budget. My understanding was that it was about $1 million budget for the country roads, but I would just work with it to try to make them better all over, not just my area.
Thank you so much. You'll take this next question first. Is there any role for the judge executive in encouraging a closer working relationship with the surrounding counties? And please explain.
I absolutely think there is a role for that. And I have been doing that to some degree by going to the Metropolitan Planning Commission meetings. I also was on a committee probably 18 years ago, where a group of people were in a committee meeting with the Bluegrass ad and the county judge executives from Garrett County, Jessamine County, Fayette County, and it was with regard to working to get Jessamine County through to I-75 in a more expeditious way. It was sort of cut and dried. That never happens, I guess, but you know, they had planned to go through Garrett County and to reach Madison County in that way, and apparently that has been scrapped because they're trying to come back through Fayette County again. So that's how I would work with them. I have tried to do that in various capacities, including Bluegrass ad meetings. Thanks.
Mr. Larson.
Okay. Let me address that and thank you. I was a member of the I-75 Nicholasville Bypass Connector Committee. I didn't approve of the plans that they had because I was concerned about the environmental impact. However, we have a beautiful Kentucky River area that should be protected. However, people in South Lexington and Northern Jessamine County right now take in non-rush traffic, it's a half an hour to get to an interstate. It's going to get worse. Tates Creek, Nicholasville Road, and Harrisburg Road are going to get perhaps 2 or 3 times the traffic they've got on it. It is a terrible situation, and it's going to get worse. I work with all those officials, and I love working with them. I get to know them. I get to know what their interests are. I go to their counties. I participate with them, as I've said, in all these county and state and regional organizations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You will take this next question first, Mr. Larson. How do you envision working with the fiscal court?
They're wonderful people. I love them. These 3 people who are paid a big total of $50 a year, and some of them have said they don't even want to be there anymore. But I love working with them. I've had one who was a former road worker, and I love working with him. I still talk to him. I still talk to another who was formerly with the Bluegrass ad. These are people who are like me, public service people. I mean, this job doesn't pay enough to do anything other than public service. And I enjoy doing it. And I enjoy these people who are putting themselves out. They're almost volunteers, $50 a year. That's really what it is. They're people who care for my city, our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Hanna.
I agree with Mr. Larson. I am fine working with any of those people with regard to the finances and the fiscal part of the city. And that's about all I can say to it. That's something that I would have to learn in process, but I understand. I think Elaine White is one of them, and there are several, and I don't know anybody beyond her, but I have no problem working with them. Thank you.
Thank you. You'll take this next question first. Public participation in government is important. How would you plan to reach out to the public?
I reach out to the public every day in various ways and various services that I do throughout the city. And I think most people say, well, what does this person do? What is the county judge executive? What's your position? I said, well, it doesn't necessarily have a position per se. It has prescribed duties that you do and you follow. And so I think for the most part, this isn't a reach out to the public job. It's a job to accomplish the tasks at hand. And so that would be what I would do. You know, if I need to go out there and reach out to the public through the meetings with regard to connecting the various counties, that would be fine. And otherwise, I would just do what you need to do for this particular job.
Thank you. Mr. Larson.
Oh, I do and have used it for connection with the community. Not only it helped me establish the Veterans Treatment Court, which I'm a mentor to other vets, but as I said, I work with the mothers of murdered children in this community. But let me talk to you about the Robert Henry Hughes Scholarship. That gives money or scholarships to half minority students. It was a historical scholarship. 1928, Robert Henry Hughes died and left his money to his paramour, who happened to be of a different race. That wasn't decided until 6 years later, and then she was deceased, but her son got that money and gave some of it to Catholic Church, but a good portion to the Fayette County. That money, the interest for that $1 million in that account, now we're using to give scholarships. I encourage people. It's not based on academics. It's based on anyone who wants to get into it. And before me, no one went to schools. I went to all the schools and got 40 plus applications. of minority students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we've discussed, the duties of this office are fairly prescribed, but would like to know, what do you most look forward to engaging in should you be elected? Oh, and I'm sorry, Mr. Larson, you take this first.
Let me address something that I don't think the public knows much about. The judge executive has the sole authority to name vacancy appointments for the sheriff, the county attorney, the county clerk. Now, sometimes those people resign, sometimes they get unable to function, but it has happened that some could resign in favor of a particular favorite. And this has happened in the past. And this could be a backroom deal, possibly given to a crony or a nepotistically. And I promise to publish any of the vacancies and have open public applications. And I'm going to request vetting like I've done before by the city of all these applicants. And I may have to defer to the city to make their decision. I just prefer to have open discussions, maybe in council, of these applications. This authority should not exist, and I intend to stop it.
Thank you. Ms. Hanna.
Would you repeat that question again, please?
Sure.
Be succinct.
We had discussed that the duties of the office are somewhat prescribed, but the question is, what are you most looking forward to engaging in if you are elected?
Well, I do think one of the fun things could be that you are allowed to marry people in Fayette County. So that would be kind of an interesting thing to do. When Mr. Larson was talking about the scholarship fund, I do think that is an interesting thing. And I know that he has also spoken with Foster Ackerman about that, as have I, because Foster would like to see that become not necessarily a somewhat unused scholarship or an unknown about scholarship. He would like to make it be, since it was for the education of children in the Fayette County area, something that is in conjunction with the History Museum, where they would have, instead of the scholarship for the people, they would make it be an educational opportunity, like in kindergarten or first grade, then maybe again continue it to fourth grade, and then maybe in middle school. So that is a possibility. That could be a fun thing to do.
Thank you. This has been an incredibly informative forum so far. So I'm going to end with this as the last of our questions before closing remarks. What should the public know about what the county judge executive does to serve our community? Things that we have maybe not discussed so far. Ms. Hanna, you go ahead and take this question first.
Well, as I mentioned before, the county judge executive is allowed to marry people. So that would be kind of an interesting fact. And I didn't know that when I first was running for it. I know they interface with the other county judge executives, and they help appoint the replacement terms. And I agree with Mr. Larson. I would not be doing that for any favors. No one's said, if you win, will you appoint my, nephew to be the county attorney or whatever. And so I think that's an interesting thing, but it's not my main thing for running for it. You assist in allocating the funds for the country roads, and I think that's a prescribed thing. And then the extraditing felons, or approving for the county attorney to extradite felons, that's an interesting thing for you to do. And I think it's fairly cut and dried. I don't think you would say, nope, I'm not going to do that for that felon. But that's kind of what I see as being interesting for being the county judge executive.
Thank you. Mr. Larson.
Thank you, Mrs. Hanna, for talking about marriages, solemnizing marriages. I've used to talk to a lot of judge executives who did thousands of marriages. Now there are almost none. We have some of our judges who do that. We have 3 magistrates in Fayette County who perform marriages. There's a board of property tax assessments, which the judge executive, along with the fiscal court and the mayor, get to make appointments to appeal your property tax assessment. There's bluegrass ad committees, tourism, environment, homeland security, regional planning, and others. And I love to participate with them. The other judges have not done that. They get to swear in the constables, deputies, magistrates, airport police. And there's a lot of correspondence, hazardous waste documents. And I'm always taking it on to, even now I get those documents and I have to bring it to the county clerk's office for delivery to Don Blevins Senior. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful discussion. We'll now move to closing remarks, and Ms. Hanna, you're up first.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me today. And I just want to say that if I am elected to this position, I will serve to the best of my ability. And typically my abilities are pretty high. When I have something to learn, I've always been able to do that. I have 2 degrees, and I graduated in with the first one in as cum laude, and I had summa cum laude in my dental hygiene degree. Studied very hard for the national boards, got a 98% out of 99. So I can be a very determined and person to learn what I need to learn. And I hope I get to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Larson.
Thank you, Ms. Hanna. I'm experienced, I'm qualified. In closing, I'm going to read some of these. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for offering me the chance to interact with interested citizens in Lexington and Fayette County. As your former and perhaps future county judge executive, I ask you to recognize the significance that I put into this public service office and have invested myself on your behalf in a bipartisan fashion, especially as your community activist. I love this community. I love Fayette County. Humbly, I ask for your vote on Jon Larson on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you both so very much. We really appreciate your input today, and I think that many viewers will have learned a lot about this position, so I appreciate it. If you are interested in league membership or would like to see more of these forums, please do visit our website at lwvlexington.com. You may find additional information on candidates across the ballot at vote411.org. And please make yourself a plan to vote on November the 8th. It's an incredibly important duty, and we encourage you to make sure that your vote counts. Thank you so much.